Radha Gokulanand Shri Radhe. Jai Radha Gokulanand, Radha Gokulanand, Radha Gokulanand Shri Radhe. Jai Radha Gokulanand, Radha Gokulanand, Radha Gokulanand Shri Radhe. Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Jai. So, today the class is about chapter 9, verse 25. And in this verse, Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna, in this chapter rather, that he is the supreme Godhead and supreme object of worship. And Krishna explains to Arjuna, the soul is eternally related to him, Krishna, through the transcendental devotional loving service, which is the bhakti. And by reviving one's pure devotion, one returns to Krishna in the spiritual realm. In the previous chapter, Krishna reveals that by remembering him in devotion throughout one's life, and especially at the time of death, one can attain to his supreme abode beyond the material world. Lord says in that chapter, whoever at the end of life quits his body remembering me, Krishna, alone at once attains my nature without doubt. Therefore, he says to Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So that applies to all of us. Some of us are grihasthas. Welcome, please come in and take a seat on the chair. Please stay if you wish. So we are talking about chapter 9, verse 25, where Krishna explains to Arjuna in that chapter that he is the Supreme Lord and the supreme object of worship, and the soul is eternally related to him through devotional service, which is bhakti, and by doing our duties in the proper way, we will return to him. So then I've just been talking other things about, so Krishna says, whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me, Krishna, alone at once attains my nature without a doubt. Therefore, my dear Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So he's explaining that, saying that to Krishna, but that applies to all of our grihasthas. So whatever work we are doing, whatever our dharma is, so we should do our dharma, remembering Krishna all the time, and all at the same time do the best that we can with whatever job, whatever dharmic activity we have been given, which has come our way. So as for knowing Krishna at the time of death, it depends on one's consciousness, and it is explained by the scriptures. The principle is this: whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. We will talk about later on examples of Ajamila and Bharat Maharaj, the great personalities. And of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the time of death. So this life creates one's next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one to be transferred to the transcendental nature of our Lord Krishna. So if one is transcendently absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental. Therefore, chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is the best process for changing one's state of being at the last moment, at the time of death. Today I'm Yadunath Das, and I thank you for your presence here. Please bless me that I may say something worthy of your time, worthy of the sacrifice of your time. So please ask a question, make a contribution as we go along. I shall very much appreciate that. I'll be grateful for that. And Bhagavad Gita, which is this one here, is one of our core scriptures. The other two being Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. These are all translated into English by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, for our eternal benefit. And of course, there are many other books which Srila Prabhupada and our Swamis have written, ancient as well as current. So I shall now recite this verse 925 and then read the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti pitrvrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajino apimam. Translation. I'll go translate the words as well, which are in Sanskrit. So yanti, go, deva vrata, the worshippers of the demigods, devan, to the demigods, Pitran, to the ancestors, yanti, go, Pitravrata, those who worship the ancestors. Bhutani, which is the ghost and the spirits. Yanti, they go. Bhutājaya, worshippers of ghosts and spirits. Yanti go matmai yajina, devotees, api but mam, unto me. Translation: those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me, Krishna, will live with me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If one has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose, such as the process technically known as Darsha Purnamasa. These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portion of the Vedas, which recommend a specific worship of demigods situated in different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets, which is the ancestral planets, by performing the specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha, raksha, pishacha. Pishacha worship is called the black arts or black magic. There are many men who practice this black art, and they think that this is spiritualism. But such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieves the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshipping the demigods one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshipping the Pitas achieve the Pita planets, or by practicing the black arts achieve the ghostly planets, why can the pure devotee not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live. And because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahma Jyoti. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurudev Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaha Padantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasdi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this verse is a little technical, so I have to go through all the key features of it. I would like to. So demigod worship, so worshipping Brahma, Shiva, Lord Shiva, Indra, in line with the Vedic guidance. So Vedas, in the fruitive section of the Vedas, they describe how to worship each different demigod. And by following those processes, we can actually establish that relationship with that particular demigod. At the end of the life, if we are rewarded, we will go to the planet of that demigod. Ancestor worship in line with Vedic guidance likewise takes people to Pitraloka, those who are interested in that. And ghosts and spirits worship in line with Vedic guidance, again, this is all described in these specific sections of the Vedas. So next life will be amongst such beings. But all these three are material worships leading to material benefits. Demigods always reward some kind of material benefit, whatever you are praying for to that Lord, and we will come across some examples later on. But Krishna worship is purely spiritual, which leads to spiritual realization and can take us to Krishna Loka. Of course, the worship requires sincerity and dedication, as you need to follow the scriptural injunctions, and you need to engage in all kinds of worship with sincerity. And we will talk about that a little bit later. Krishna talks about, therefore, the planets of the ancestors and the demigods. So under our Vedic teachings, this particular universe, which is created by Lord Brahma, and the universe is called Brahmanda, and there are three planetary systems created by Lord Brahma. There's the upper planetary system, which is Swarloka, and then there's a middle planetary system called Bhuvaloka, where the demigods, Charnas, Gandharvas, etc., so those are their planets, and that includes the earth. The middle planetary system includes the earth at the lower end of that. And then there are lower planets and called Patalokas. They are described as hellish, but they're not always hellish. Bali Maharaj, the great grandson of Hiranyakashipu and grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, and you will remember Bali Maharaj actually had conquered all the demigod planets, and then they went to ask for some help. And what was the demigod's our Lord's name in that episode, in that pastime? Bali Maharaj, Vamana Dev. So Vamana Dev goes to him and he sort of says, I will help the demigods. So he goes to Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is Guru, which is the Guru of the Asuryas, Shukracharya. So he's there and he sees a little Brahmin boy coming to the Bali Maharaj's court, and he sees there is a little trick here, and he advises Bali Maharaj not to listen to this Brahmin boy, who was only a little boy. And then he goes to Bali Maharaj, say, no, little boy's come to my court, I will give him whatever he wants. And Vamana Dev says, I don't want much, I just want 3 paces of the land, of your land. And Bali Maharaj says, is that all you want? I have conquered all the demigod planets. Would you not like something more? And no, Vamana Dev says, no, I shall, king, I shall just take 3 paces of land, steps of land. Anyhow, Shukracharya tries to say to Bali Maharaj, don't do it. And Bali Maharaj said, no, okay, little boy, please proceed, have whatever land you want. So in one step, Vamana, they've covered the whole earth, and then subsequently the heavenly planets with the second step, and the third step he breaks the covering of the universe. And Bali Maharaj surrenders to him completely, and he says, I will do whatever I have promised, whatever you want. And that he goes into, so that's what happens. And Vamana, obviously, Bali Maharaj is grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, a great devotee. And then the Lord say, gives the a planet in the lower planet, one planet in the lower part of the universe, and this is where Bali Maharaj lives in great opulence, and of course, a great devotees, who become great devotees even if they are born in the demon families, they don't really mind whether they are sent into the hellish planets or whichever. So the lower planets aren't all hellish planets. There is a great deal of opulence, and also Sheshanag, which carries the whole universe on his 1,000 hoods. So he is also resident of one of those planets. And then there are others. So there are 14 worlds in the 3 planetary systems. There's the Brahmaloka, which is the topmost, where Brahma resides. Then there's Tapaloka, Janaloka, where Siddhas and yogis, great yogis who are great sacrifices, they reside. Up to Bhuvaloka, which is the heavenly planets. And then beyond that, as I explained, Atala, Sutala, Vitala, Sutala. So these are the lower planets. In Sutala planet is where Bali Maharaj resides. And Rasatala is also a planet where Ananta, the Sheshanag, resides. Now, Krishna in that verse also talks about the ghostly bodies and the spirits. So I'll say a little bit about that. So all of us, jivas, have 3 bodies. So one is our physical body, which you and I can see. Then there is a subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, and ego. So that is the other body. And then there is a spiritual body. Spiritual body is none of these. It just is purely spiritual. So spiritual body only manifests after we have become spiritualized, i.e. fully accomplished in our devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In that state, jiva at the end of material life discards both the physical body and the subtle body and proceeds to the spiritual world in the spiritual body. But most of the time we have mixed devotion to the Supreme Lord, devotion which is mixed with material motives. So we may even fall from a spiritual path which is nearly accomplished due to some residual anartha or some aparadh towards the holy personality. And there are examples of Bharat Maharaj and Chitraketu, when we will talk about those shortly. And if you live according to the Vedic guidance, then the soul proceeds with the subtle body and due course adopts another body. So we're not demoted to lower life. There are 8.4 million different life types which are possible. However, due to some extreme sinful activities, some jivas are denied physical bodies and they roam around the subtle bodies and may cause, they just roam around in the subtle bodies and may cause disturbances. But Lord Shiva is always very kind. He is the topmost Vaishnava, and he even gives shelter to these ghosts and spirits. And sometimes he even gives them a body. But we here are aspiring Vaishnavas, and our goal is to achieve pure devotional service of Lord Krishna. By our own free will, Krishna wants us to re-establish our relationship with him. So, at the end of Gita, Lord tells Arjuna that I have expressed my opinions, now what you do is up to you. So Lord never dictates to our free will. By our own free will, he wants us to come to him. So we are his eternal fragmental parts, and we were all in the spiritual world sometime, many lifetimes earlier. Somehow we developed a desire to enjoy life independent of Krishna, and that is how Krishna has created this world, for us to allow us to do that. Nevertheless, he wants to return. So we talked about different planets. All planets in the Brahmanda are temporary. All residents there have a given life. Millions of years in Brahmaloka and 100 years or so on this earth. Only bhakti is eternal. Krishna explains in verse 8:16, chapter 8, 16, verse 16 of Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhuvna loka punaravartino Arjuna mam upetya tu konteya punarjanma na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains Krishna's abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So on the planets, on different planets, there are all kinds of yogis, kama, jnana, hatha. They eventually have to attain devotional perfection in bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness. So before they can go to Krishna's transcendental abode and never return. Those who attain the highest material planets, the planets of the demigods, are again subjected to repeated birth and death. As persons on earth are elevated to higher planets, people on higher planets such as Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, Indraloka fall down. The practice of sacrifice recommended in the Chanda Yoga Upanishad enables you to attain higher planets. But the question may arise that if we give up our material life in favor of devotional service, but we falter and not complete the devotional journey, so what happens then? And Krishna explains in chapter 2, verse 40, that our credit does not diminish. Neha abhikrama nasho asti prataya vayo na vidyate swalpham apiyasya dharmasya trayate mahito bhayat. So Krishna explains that in this endeavor of bhakti, in this endeavor of Krishna consciousness, there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent benefit. And there are examples of that. Bhagavatam in Canto 5, Chapter 8 gives a story of Bharat Maharaj, a great personality who was the king of this planet Earth. So Bharat Maharaj was a very elevated personality. He renounced his kingdom in favor of his son when he was at the height of his powers and retired to a remote place to focus on his service to the Lord. It was a life of devotion. So one day, after Bharat Maharaj had taken his bath as usual in the river Gandaki, and he was chanting doing his meditation, chanting his mantra, he saw a pregnant deer which came to river to drink some water. And as he was drinking his water, took his first sip, suddenly there was a thundering roar of a lion. And the deer was so frightened that he immediately gave birth to his calf, and he then ran across the river but died immediately thereafter. So Maharaja Bharat took compassion on that deer, on the motherless calf, rescued it from the water, took it to his ashram and cared for it affectionately. But he gradually became very attached to this young deer and always thought of it affectionately. As it grew up, it became Maharaja's Bharat's constant companion, and he took care of it. Gradually, he became so absorbed in thinking of this deer that his mind became agitated. As he became more attached to the deer, his devotional service slackened. So, although he was able to give up his opulent kingdom, he became attached to the deer, and thus he fell down from his mystic yoga practice. Once when the deer was absent, Maharaja Bharat was so disturbed that he began to search for it. While searching and lamenting the deer's absence, Maharaja Bharat fell down a cliff and he died. But because his mind was fully absorbed thinking of the deer, he naturally took his next birth from the womb of a deer. However, he was considerably advanced spiritually because Krishna never allows even a little spiritual progress to disappear. So that was with him. So he did not forget his past activities. Even though he was in the body of a deer, he could understand how he had fallen down from his exalted position. And remembering this, he left his mother deer and again went to Pulaha ashram. He finally ended his fruitive activities in the form of a deer when he died and released from the body. And that deer, Maharaja Bharat, he was born as Jad Bharat in a family of Brahmanas in the next life, and there he completed his spiritual journey back to the spiritual world. So 3 steps it took him, but his bhakti, his devotion, that stayed with him throughout, and in the 3rd life he went back to the spiritual world. We're also told a story in chapter 6 of history of the life of Ajamila. So Ajamila was Sukdev Goswami described the story of Ajamila. Ajamila was a resident of Kanekubja, and he was trained by his parents, Brahmana parents, to become a perfect Brahmana by studying the Vedas and following the regulated principles. But because of his past, this youthful Brahmana obviously carried some anarthas from his previous lives. So this youthful Brahmana was somehow attracted to a prostitute, and because of her association, he became a very fallen, and he gave up his practices, Vedic practices, and abandoned all the regulated principles which he had been following in his younger life. Ajamila had 10 children, and the last of whom he named Narayana. So as he got older and time of death came, Ajamila saw the odor carriers of Yamaraj, which is the Yamduta, and he got quite scared, and he called for his son, youngest son, Narayana. And as he said that, he also remembered the worship he used to do for Lord Narayana. He used to worship Lord Narayana before he fell down from his path. So as soon as he remembered, then Vishnu Dutas, which are the odor carriers of Lord Vishnu, so they appeared. Even though he did not chant the holy name of Narayana completely offenselessly, it acted nevertheless. So as soon as he chanted the name, the odor carriers of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, immediately appeared on the scene, and they had a discussion with the Yamrajas. And in the end, the Yamduts actually withdrew, and they went back to Yamraj, Lord Yamraj, and they discussed the thing. And that's another story. We won't go into that at this stage. And so at that time, he was saved from the Yamdutas, and Ajamila realized what he had been doing, fruitive activities, bad fruitive activities. And at that stage, he retired to Haridwar, and he completed his spiritual rehabilitation and made spiritual progress. So this refers to whatever one remembers at the end of one's life, that state that person certainly achieves. So here, Ajamila was saved because he remembered Narayana, and then he went back and did he was given another chance, and he did very successfully make progress, reconnect with the Lord. And in 8.15, Bhagavad Gita 8.15, so Krishna describes what his spiritual abode is like, what his planet is like. Mam upetya punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatatma sansiddhim paramam gata. So this is Krishna's abode. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection and they have reached Krishna Loka. So temporary world is full of miseries of birth, old age, disease and death. And whoever achieves Krishna Loka would never want to return here. So it doesn't matter how prosperous a person is, always carries a burden, always has has the same thing as anybody else. There's the old age, disease, and the like. So doesn't matter what state, material state a person is in, they always carry the same worries as anybody else. The supreme planet is described in Vedic literature as Avyakta, Akshara and Paramam Gati. In other words, that planet is beyond our material vision and it is inexplicable, but it is the highest goal, the destination of the Mahatmas. Mahatmas received transcendental messages from the realized devotees. So in meditation, these great souls who are meditating with great sincerity, so they can get some very special messages from realized personalities which help them further in the progress of their spiritual journey. Rupa Goswami, he is one of the original 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and he was tasked by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to discover and write scriptures in first half of the 16th century. Obviously, India was going through an upheaval and all kind of invaders were coming and destroying the library, the Vedic libraries and so on. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Rupa Goswami to discover and write the scriptures. And what a wonderful instruction that was for us, because the literature that was created, that is just wonderful, spiritual, all guiding, takes us closer to Krishna. So among the spiritual classics that he wrote was Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is translated as Nectar of Devotion, How to Worship the Lord, by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada has written many books, and our Goswamis have written many books, and they're all full of spiritual wisdom. So we often wonder what is devotional service. So Rupa Goswami explains the devotional service as follows in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparitvena nirmalam hrishikena hrishikesha sevanam bhaktiruchyate. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses, our hands in cleaning the temple of the Lord, our eyes in seeing the Lord, and our mouth in singing the praises of the Lord and Mahamantra, and our legs in going to the temples and so on. So everything, all our senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, who is the master of all the senses. So when the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are 2 side effects. One is freed from material designations, material attachments, and simply by being employed in the service of the Lord, one's senses are purified. So that is, obviously, that is a very highly evolved personality who will achieve that. But that gives us a little indication of what is the absolute devotional service. And this is a process of surrender to the Supreme Lord as well. Surrender means obeying and living the instructions of the Supreme Lord as explained in Bhagavad Gita and as given by the spiritual master who is the servant of Krishna in disciplic succession. There are instructions for those in Brahmacharya ashram, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa ashram. Each ashram is capable of realizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ambariza Maharaj did it, Prahlad Maharaj did it in Grihastha ashram. Admittedly, the difficulties are greater. So we are mostly grihasthas, and our duty is to make progress, or opportunity is to make progress in on the spiritual path, on one of the angas of bhakti. We as grihasthas, our duty is to support the temples, our brahmacharis and sannyasis by service, donations, moral support. So I think whatever we do, as Krishna has explained, is banked, and it is something available. It becomes a base for making progress in the future, in this life and in the next life. The criteria is that a devotee must know what Krishna wants him to do, and this understanding we can only achieve through the medium of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna in the disciplic succession. Srila Rupa Goswami advises Ada Gurvanashrayam. One who is serious in wanting to render pure devotional service to the Lord must take the shelter of a spiritual master who comes in the disciplic succession from Krishna. Our Srila Prabhupada, prime example, he served his master, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, and the lineage, and Lord Krishna. So without accepting a bona fide spiritual master coming in disciplic succession, one cannot find out the real purpose of devotional service. Therefore, one has to accept the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. The first business of a pure devotee is to satisfy his spiritual master, whose only business is to spread Krishna consciousness. So if one can satisfy the spiritual master, one can satisfy Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna wants us to come back to him, but using our own free will. He loves us so much that when things get too much in this material world, he comes here personally from the spiritual world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavti bharata abhyuta nama dharmasya tadatmanam saryami aham. Krishna says, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice and an increase in unrighteousness, O descendant of Bharata, which is Arjun, at that time I descend myself. And why does he come? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sanstapnarthya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna comes here because he loves us to protect the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principle of dharma. Krishna says, I myself appear millennium after millennium. This is all because he loves us, and he makes life, worship so difficult. We talked about worship of demigods and so on. So here, which is according to the Vedic injunctions, here it is made, Krishna tells us, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya parayachati tad aham bhakti upaharatam ashnami prayatmana. So Lord says, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf of a tree or a flower, fruit or water, I will accept it. So we all have temples at home. So please, offer something to Lord. He's not asking for very much. Glass of water, little flower, and so on. And that is the way the devotional service takes hold and progresses. How much does he want us to come to him? So how is devotional service executed? So there are 9 ways to perform surrender in devotion to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Each of these is perfect and complete in itself as devotional service. So we can either do Shravanam, which is hearing about the Lord, and Parikshit Maharaj in his last 7 days, and Sukhdev Goswami spoke about Srimad Bhagavatam in the last 7 days, and that was a perfection for Parikshit Maharaj, Shravanam. So then there's Kirtanam. Whenever there's a Kirtan here glorifying Lord Krishna, please come to that. And with a pure heart and kind of surrender to the Supreme Lord, and then you just see how wonderful that is. Smarnam, which is remembering Lord Krishna, and Prahlad Maharaj never for a second forgot the Lord, and at the end, Narsingadev came to his protection. Padsevanam, attending the feet of the Lord. Archanam, worshipping Lord Krishna. And Vandhanam, praying to Lord Krishna. So with an open heart, praying to Lord Krishna. So Dasyam, becoming a servitor to Lord Krishna, whatever service you may choose. That is also a devotional service and perfect on its own. And of course, ultimate example is Hanumanji. And Sakhyam, becoming a dear friend to Lord Krishna. And Arjuna is our ultimate example on that. Atma Nivedan, fully surrendering unto Lord Krishna. And we talked about Bali Maharaj earlier. And, although he was in the lineage of the demons and he defeated all the devtas and took over their planets, nevertheless, he fully surrendered to Vamana Dev when the time came. So in our Bhakti Yoga, so each of these Angas of Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and so on, Atma Nivedan, so they have 9 stages. Each one has 9 stages. There's Shraddha, which is faith. Journey begins with faith. And Sadhu Sangha, so coming for a Kirtan here or listening to great Swamis which come here from time to time. So listening to those, the association with them is very supportive of our devotional service in any of those 9 Angas we talked about earlier. And Bhajan Kriya is another, so performing the devotional service practices such as chanting and so on, Anartha Nivritti and so on. So there are, each of those Angas of Bhakti have got 9 steps, and each one is progressive, and the ultimate is pure love for Krishna, which is the pinnacle of Bhakti Yoga. And in this life, in this Kali Yuga, it's been made even simpler by Lord Chaitanya, who is incarnation of Lord Krishna, 500 years ago. He taught us chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only way to spiritual realization in Kali Yuga. Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Gatiranyatha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So there is no difference between Krishna and chanting his holy name with a pure heart in a secluded place, with a full attention, without any offenses. It is the same as seeing Krishna. And in this, our organization, our spiritual path is chanting 16 rounds of the Mahamantra every day with affection, attention, and without offenses, and follow the process of devotional service and 4 regulatory principles. Spiritual life has been made very easy. Thank you very much. Any contributions, any questions? Do you know what the Mahajans are in our scriptures? Anybody? Yeah. Raja Dashrath. Okay. So we have 12 Mahajans. Yeah, please. Yes. So they are the masters of spiritual knowledge. They can give that knowledge to us. And those 12 Mahajans, can you name some of them? Anybody? Bhishma, Yamaraj. Dashrath, maybe in a different format. Yeah. So I think you mentioned too Yamraj. So Yamraj we talked about. So Yamdutas went back to Yamraj, and Yamraj explained. Yamdutas thought when they went there, they thought that Yamraj was the ultimate, and then Yamraj explains to them, what the spiritual order is. That he is just an administrator, and there are supreme personalities, something different. So yeah, great. So there are the 12 Mahajans who know the religious principles, who are capable of teaching us, are Lord Brahma, and then Narada, who is a son of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, who is also a son of Brahma, the 4 Kumaras, who are also sons of Brahma, and then Lord Kapila, the son of Mother Devahuti, Swayambhuva Manu, one of the first Manus, also descended from Lord Brahma. Prahlad Maharaj, we talked about him. So he knows the religious principles. Janak Maharaj, Mother Sita's father. So he's, yes, not Rama's father. You're nearly there. So Janak Maharaj, and then grandfather Bhishma, who actually Lord Krishna went to when he was on his deathbed, on a bed of arrows. So Lord Krishna and the Pandavas went to Bhishma Pitama to ask him to listen to him what he had to say in terms of religious principles. And then Bali Maharaj, we talked about him. So Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj come from the lineage of Hiranyakashipu, who was the great demon. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were 2 brothers. There's another story along that. And then Sukadev Goswami, who gave us Srimad Bhagavatam. So he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, and Sukadev Goswami was there listening to him. And then that's how Srimad Bhagavatam has come down to us. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you so much for coming. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Sing.
Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Ki bajayo jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Koshobha. Keva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Aroti Koshova Jana Vitatavane Jagamanaloba Jana Vitatavane Jagamanaloba Nakini Taichan Vame Gadadara Nakini Taichan Vame Gadadara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasa Chatradara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasa Chatradara Voisi Ache Gora Chan Ratna Simasane Voisi Ache Gora Chan Ratna Simasane Aroti Korena Brahma Hari Devagane Aroti Korena Brahma Hari Devagane Nara Hari Hari Kori Chamara Dhulaya Nara Hari Hari Kori Chamara Dhulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Kosharigaya Sanjaya Mukunda Bhaje Karata